PTL Pro represents the AI in Agriculture podcast where technology shapes the future of farming.
Ever wish you had a superpower? Like, what if you could spot teeny tiny threats, the kind that could take down something much bigger than you'd expect?
Well, get this, there's this AI system out there, and it's basically doing just that, tackling one of a soybean's worst nightmares, pests.
Okay, pests, got it. But soybeans, those little beans we make tofu out of, what's the big deal?
You'd be surprised. We're talking huge agricultural impact here, especially in places like Brazil, where soybean production is a massive industry. And these pests, they can really do some damage if they're not kept in check.
So we're talking about protecting one of the world's most important crops then, huh?
Absolutely. But here's the thing, figuring out if you have a pest problem. Right now, it's a lot of manually walking through fields, inspecting plants one by one.
Sounds incredibly tedious. There's got to be a better way.
And that's where our AI hero swoops in. Researchers in Brazil trained an AI to actually identify these soybean villains just by looking at a picture.
Wait, seriously? Like, point a camera at a plant and the AI says, yep, that's a spider mite infestation right there.
You got it. And it's not just one type of pest either. This AI has been trained to recognize 12 of the most common soybean baddies. They even created a special collection of images called the NNSE12C dataset to train it.
Okay, so now I'm picturing these researchers like out in the fields with tiny little cameras, chasing bugs and snapping pics.
Well, it wasn't quite that dramatic. They actually used a pretty standard smartphone camera, a Samsung Galaxy S7 to be precise.
No way! My old phone could have had a side hustle fighting agricultural crime. That's wild. But how does this even work? Do you need like a supercomputer to run this thing?
Nope, it's all about the clever algorithms. They use something called a YOLO architecture.
YOLO. Sounds more like something you'd yell at a concert than a cutting-edge AI technique.
Right, but it stands for you only look once, which is kind of perfect when you think about it. Imagine dividing an image into a grid. This AI scans each cell, looking for shapes, colors, patterns, anything that screams, hey, I'm a pest.
So it's like a super-powered game of bug bingo. Bingo we've got aphids and cell C4, but why is speed so important here?
Well, in the farming world, timing is everything, right? The quicker you know there's a problem, the quicker you could address it before it becomes a bigger issue. That's where YOLO speed shines. Imagine a drone scanning fields in real time.
And instantly alerting farmers. That's amazing. So how'd YOLO do against these 12 troublemakers? Did it pass the test?
Overall, it did a pretty impressive job. It could identify and even count different pest species with a good success rate. The researchers found that a batch size of 32 worked best for training.
Hold on, back up a sec. Batch size? Sounds a little technical.
It's even like this, you're learning a new language, right? You probably wouldn't try to memorize the entire dictionary at once. You break it down into smaller chunks, right?
Right, smaller bites of information.
Exactly. It's the same idea here.
Yeah.
Feeding the AI smaller batches of images during training actually helps it learn more effectively.
So it's like giving the AI bite-sized lessons in pest identification. Clever. But I gotta imagine it wasn't all smooth sailing, right? Even the best students have their off days. What were some of the challenges the AI faced?
You're right. AI, just like us, has its limitations. One thing that really tripped up YOLO was lighting.
Yeah, like shadows or glare. That can make things look totally different, even to the human eye.
And for AI, which relies on analyzing patterns and colors, those changes in lighting can really throw things off. It's like trying to identify your friend in a crowded room with the lights flickering on and off. Tough, right?
Definitely not ideal. So how do you even begin to account for that?
It's an ongoing process. But one approach is to train the AI on a much wider range of images, captured in all sorts of different lighting conditions.
So basically giving the AI more experience, more tools to adapt, that makes sense? Were there any other hurdles this AI had to overcome?
Yeah, there was another interesting challenge. Sometimes the backgrounds in the images would actually end up looking quite similar to the pests themselves. Imagine trying to spot a brown moth against a backdrop of fallen leaves. Or, even trickier, trying to differentiate leaf damage from an actual insect.
Oh, wow. Talk about a real-life game of camouflage. I can see how that would throw the AI for a loop. So how do they teach an AI to see through a bug's best camouflage?
It's tricky, that's for sure. But it's less about teaching it to see in the human sense, and more about giving it the right kind of data to work with. Like, remember how those researchers were taking pictures at specific times?
Yeah, because certain pests were more active at those times, right? Like early morning and late afternoon.
Exactly. And that's not just about catching those bugs out and about. It's about understanding their behavior, their patterns. What if the AI could analyze all that data, all those pictures, and start to predict where pests might show up next?
Whoa, hold on. We're talking pest prediction now, like some kind of bug forecasting system.
In a way, yeah. Think about it. The AI could connect the dots between things like weather patterns, time of year, maybe even the presence of other plants or insects, things we might not even think are related.
So instead of just reacting to an infestation, farmers could be one step ahead, ready and waiting.
Precisely. It's like shifting from playing defense to going on the offense. And that's a game changer for agriculture, making it more sustainable, more efficient.
Okay, that's seriously cool. But even with all these advancements, I keep thinking about those times the AI messed up. Didn't it have trouble telling the difference between adult pests and their younger versions?
It did, and that's another example of how AI, for all its power, still needs the right kind of training.
So what happened there? Did the AI just not get enough photos of the younger bugs?
It's possible it boils down to that not enough data, or maybe not enough variety in the data.
Right.
Like imagine if you only ever saw pictures of butterflies. You might not recognize a caterpillar as the same species, right? Even though it's just a younger version.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. They need to see all the different forms these pests can take.
Exactly. And it's not just about the quantity of the images, but also the quality, the diversity, different angles, different lighting conditions. All of that helps the AI get a more complete picture.
So how do you solve for that? Just keep taking more pictures.
More pictures definitely help. But researchers are also exploring other techniques, like something called data augmentation.
Data augmentation, what in the world is that? Is that where they, like, dress the bugs up in little costumes?
Laughing, I wish. No, it's a way of artificially increasing the size and diversity of their data set. Imagine taking a picture of a pest and then flipping it, rotating it, changing the brightness.
Ah, so you're creating all these different variations from the original image.
Exactly. It's like giving the AI a crash course in pest identification from every possible angle.
Okay, I can see how that would help. But I got to ask, all this talk about AI and algorithms and data, what does this actually look like for the average farmer out in the field? Are we talking robot overlords taking over the farm anytime soon?
That's a question a lot of people have. But in this case, it's not about replacing farmers at all. If anything, it's about giving them superpowers. Imagine this. A farmer walks into their field, smartphone in hand.
Armed and ready to snap some pest selfies.
Pretty much. But instead of just taking pictures, they're actually collecting vital data about their crops. Maybe they're using a simple app that's been powered up with this AI technology. They take a few pictures of their soybean plants, and bam.
The app spits out a diagnosis. You've got aphids, Farmer Joe.
Exactly. But it's more than just a simple diagnosis. We're talking detailed information, what kind of pest, how bad is the infestation, even recommendations for the best course of action.
So it's like having a whole team of agricultural experts in your back pocket.
You got it. And remember how we talked about sustainability? This kind of technology can help farmers move away from that blanket spraying of pesticides, which is better for everyone in the long run.
Okay, so instead of just nuking the entire field, they can be much more targeted, less waste, fewer chemicals.
Precisely. And this is where it gets even more interesting with something called pesticide application maps.
Pesticide application maps. Okay, now you've really lost me. Are we talking about some kind of treasure map for tracking down bugs now?
Not quite.
Yeah.
But they are pretty valuable for farmers. Remember we talked about using AI to pinpoint where those pests are hiding?
Right, like having a heat map of where those pests are concentrated. That's smart.
Exactly. These maps take all that data, where the pests are, what kind they are, and they turn it into a plan of attack for pesticides. Farmers can upload those maps right onto their GPS-guided sprayers.
Wait, tractors have GPS now. Farming is way more high-tech than I thought.
It's come a long way. And with these GPS-guided sprayers, farmers can hit those problem areas with incredible accuracy. No more just spraying down the entire field with pesticides.
So much less waste, right? That's got to be better for the environment, too.
Absolutely. Less pesticide use overall, which is good for the soil, the water, even those helpful insects we talked about earlier. Plus, it saves farmers money because they're not wasting pesticides where they're not needed.
Okay, so it's a win-win all around. Less waste, healthier ecosystems, and more money in farmers' pockets. I'm on board with that.
Exactly. And that's what's so cool about this whole thing. It's not just about fixing one problem. It's about completely changing how we think about agriculture, making it more sustainable, more efficient, more resilient overall.
Yeah, totally. But we've been talking about soybeans this whole time, and I gotta imagine this tech could be used for way more than just one crop, right?
Oh, absolutely. The idea here, using AI to spot problems in real time, that can apply to so many areas of agriculture.
So we're talking about using AI to, like, detect diseases in fruit trees or monitor the health of livestock, maybe even predict things like droughts.
You're getting it. The possibilities are really kind of endless. And as this technology gets even more advanced, we're going to see some really incredible applications, stuff we haven't even thought of yet.
It's mind-blowing to think about, like, are we on the verge of a whole new era of agriculture? One where technology helps us grow food more sustainably and efficiently than ever before.
It's definitely an exciting time to be paying attention to the world of agriculture. And who knows, maybe someday we'll all be thanking AI for our delicious and sustainably grown food.
Now that's a future I can get behind. Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of AI. And would those be soybean superheroes? Or maybe super algorithms?
Pest psychics. Don't forget the pest psychics.
That's right. Until next time, keep those cameras snapping and those questions coming. And remember, the future of food. It's looking smarter than ever.